Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Emily Hiles, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Officer Cadet William Gray. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Club Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of Claremont College from Randwick, New South Wales. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved. And here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Frederick Clarence Shannon. Frederick Shannon was born on Harwood Island, a small village on the banks of the Clarence River in the Clarence Valley, New South Wales, on the 21st of March, 1886. The son of John and Carolyn Shannon, he went on to grow up in the nearby town of Maclean, where he was known for being, quote, prominent in athletic, football and rowing events, and a member of the well-known Shannon Brothers Butcher Boat Crew, which won many handicaps, end quote. In his early years, he worked in grazing and agriculture, and for a time held a licence to operate a billiard room. On the 7th of March, 1935, Shannon married Amy Want at the Presbyterian Church in Maclean. Records indicate the couple had at least 3 children. Frederick Shannon enlisted for service on the 8th of April 1942 at the age of 56. Rather than joining the young recruits of the 2nd Australian Imperial Force, who would later see active service overseas, Shannon became part of the Australian military forces, sometimes known as the militia. He was allocated to the Volunteer Defence Corps, joining the 2nd Battalion based at Bellingham on the New South Wales mid-north coast. The VDC had formed in July 1940 after the evacuation of Allied troops from Dunkirk in Europe. Based on Britain's Home Guard, the VDC initially operated under the auspices of the Returned Sailors, Soldiers and Airmen's Imperial League of Australia, now known as the RSL. The VDC was not given a budget and initially was only provided surplus stock of First World War weapons brought out of dusty warehouses. From 1941, however, the Commonwealth government took over the running of the VDC. By the end of 1941, there were 44,000 VDC members, about 5,000 of whom were called up for full-time service as coast watchers, airfield defence, and guards for prisoners of war. The VDC peaked in strength in 1942 with more than 100,000 members. As the perceived threat to Australia changed, the VDC's role changed from static defence to operating anti-aircraft artillery, coastal artillery and searchlights. The VDC was disbanded at the war's end in August 1945. Private Shannon served with the VDC for 159 days. On the 6th of November 1942, he was discharged as medically unfit for service, suffering from an illness that was not specified. His health continued to worsen until he died at his home on Union Street in Maclean on the 12th of March 1943. Survived by his widow and 3 children, Frederick Shannon was 56 years old. His remains were buried in Maclean Civil Cemetery, where they lie today. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, amongst almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Frederick Clarence Shannon, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.